Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Drink with Crazy. What's going on, everybody? Leo, to answer your question, why did I minimize that screen? That was bad. I touched a button. I should not touch that button. What's going on? Leo, where's the trash panda? Drunk in a liquor store. I heard about this and I was like, what? No. Yes. The answer is yes. And it's, yeah, it's crazy. So, as recently, not as always, but as recently, let's start tonight off with a prayer. And we're going to say, we're going to ask God to, not be too crazy, but let's start tonight off with a prayer, and then we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna quickly highlight some indie projects that I see, one from a very, very popular YouTuber because I think it's really, really awesome, and another from an indie novelist that I know, and a book that I have sitting right here. But first, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, amen. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Cotton Fox says, how are you? I'm doing very well, Cotton Fox. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I don't know that handle. I don't know that YouTube handle. But Liu, Cotton Fox, what's going on? I am very, very, very excited for tonight. So, the indie book that just showed up on my doorstep a day or two ago, I will be reading this probably this weekend. This is Necromancer from Declan Finn, a Catholic author who is writing from his perspective and his faith and putting out some fantastic books. He's been entrusted by Blanley Pardoe to actually write part of one of the series that Blanley Pardoe is putting out. I'm very, very excited for this. Gonna check it out. I talked with Declan Finn, probably a month or a month and a half ago about this book. Had to buy it, put it on the wish list. Wife bought it. So I'm going to be reading this weekend. I have not read it yet, so I can't say yes, buy it or not. But what I can say is I bought it because Declan Finn was super awesome to me, and I think that deserves a shout out. So go check out Declan Finn, the Necromancer, on Amazon, and you can go and check that out. The other thing that I want to cover here, because I think that I want to shout this out. One of my favorite YouTubers, I watch a lot of GunTube. And one of my favorite YouTubers out there is Kentucky Ballistics. And he is putting out his own book. Now, people, well, she's super big and he's not indie and doesn't have, no, shut up. He's indie. He's putting out his own stuff. I'm new to the channel. May I know what your content is? Type of. Talk about a lot of indie content and just random stuff. Gaming, anime, things like that. Cotton Fox. So, yeah, I talk about a lot of different things. I also might have views that you don't like. And you know what? Sometimes I'm okay with that, depending. But yeah, I talk about a lot but tonight we're going to talk about some indie projects real quick. And I think that, Kentucky Ballistics is putting out a children's book called Boom Pow. What did Franklin do this time? Dude, I don't know what Franklin did this time, but he got drunk in a liquor store and passed out in the bathroom. That's what Franklin did, okay? That's what Franklin did, okay? Franklin passed out in a bathroom. But Kentucky Ballistics does interviews with indie creators too. Yes, I try to do interviews with indie creators, whether they're doing comic books, whether they're doing manga, whether they're doing movies, whether they're doing, or even just YouTube creators. I try to get YouTube creators here on the channel too. I try to, and sometimes those fail. And I work all of this around my family schedule as a dad. And so, yes, that's the big thing. But so Kentucky Ballistics is doing a children's books called Boom Pow, I'm Braver Now. Now, for those of you who don't know Kentucky Ballistics, he is a GunTube channel that does absolutely fun and wholesome content. He doesn't swear in his videos. He does everything his best to like teach people stuff, and he just has fun videos. Years ago, he was doing a video shooting a .50 caliber and using what are known as slap rounds. Now, one thing that happened, and he put a video out there, and it's an absolutely insane video. He had a .50 caliber rifle explode on him. Basically, there was no way that he could have known that this round was overpressurized, and he did everything right. He followed all the rules of gun safety, but had a catastrophic failure. When he had this catastrophic failure, he actually had a piece of the gun lodge itself in his neck. And funny enough, he wrapped that's why he wears a shirt called Put a Thumb in It, wraps his thumb in his shirt, and he literally put his thumb in his neck to stop himself from bleeding because he nicked his carotid artery. He nicked it. He didn't fully sever it. He nicked it. And from there, he has had an incredible journey. Like a year and a half later, he gets back into working out. He's putting up 400 pounds on the bench press. He did not let this stop his love of firearms. He did not let this stop him from going. And now he does this children's book called Boom Pow, I'm Braver Now. And basically what it is, by the way, they are supporting cancer warriors. So we're going to drop this in the chat because this is a guy that I highly respect for everything that he's doing. If you listen to his story about what he went through and the whole time he was in thankfully his dad is his cameraman, and his dad was there, and his dad has military service. He's got police and law enforcement service, and his dad went up to him and said, hey, here's what's going on. You're bleeding from the neck. You need to stuff it. So he stuffed his, and he literally thought about his wife and children the entire time he's bleeding out. So if you ever watch Kentucky Ballistics, he always makes the joke, oh, this makes my neck itch. He's got a 15-inch scar starting from his neck down to his chest because they had to open up his chest because it was a bad accident. He wasn't sure he was going to make it out of this. It's absolutely incredible. He is supporting the cancer warriors, one story at a time, obviously. And the pre-order for unsigned and signed books right now, this is for children, and it's basically about children or it's basically a story about going through something that you can't control, but you can come out on the other side better and stronger. I love this message. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Oh, excuse me. And I would love for everybody to check this out. I just dropped the link down in the comments. I'll put it in my description. Scott is it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch the 50 cal video. I've watched it many times and I've actually shown it to people because accidents do happen. And it's one of the things that I want people to really, really understand is that you can come back from terrible things happening in your life. You can always come back as long as there is still breath that you draw every single day. And he is putting a book out there for children to let them know that life lesson. I think that's absolutely incredible. I want people to to know that. And I think it's absolutely awesome. So go support. He's a massive YouTuber. He's got multiple millions of subscribers. But I love the guy to death. I've never met him before in my life. I would love to meet him. Heck, if I could be like, hey, you're an indie author. I interview indie authors. If I could get Scott over here, Kentucky Ballistics, on this small channel to interview him and just cover him the way that I interview people, I would love to. I don't even know how to reach out to the guy. So chat, if you got any ideas, let me know. One of the most metal pieces of merch I've heard of. Which one? Which piece of merch, Liu? The put a thumb in it? Yeah. He's literally like he literally merchandise. He literally took the thing that he did that saved his life. He literally wrapped his thumb in his t-shirt and stuck his thumb inside of his neck to control the bleeding of his carotid artery. Because again, it was nicked. It wasn't fully severed. Because usually if you sever a carotid, you're done. You've got 90 seconds and lights are out. He nicked it. It was bleeding. He stuck his thumb in there and left it in there until he got to the hospital. And he thought about, he being in law enforcement knew he couldn't lose consciousness. And he thought about his wife and children the entire time. And if you guys have not seen the Kentucky Ballistics 50 cal video, you need to watch the Kentucky Ballistics 50 caliber explosion video. It's absolutely insane. And he also has slow-mo camera, and it's hard to watch. It is hard to watch this happen to a person, and he's putting out a book for children, which as a dad is something I've been asking for a lot of the independent and indie community who's writing books to put out. Because I always ask people, if I read your book, can I pass it along to my children? Because if I can't pass it along to my children, how am I going to make sure that you as an author are remembered? Because if we can't pass these books along to our kids, guess what? You're not going to be remembered for the things that you write. And that is something that I feel so much about. So go check out, obviously, Kentucky Ballistics. I have Declan Finn's new book right here, The Necromancer. Let's get the light not shining on it horribly. Nope, there it is. Go check out Declan Finn, The Necromancer. This is a Catholic author writing from Catholic perspective. And I think I'm going to check it out this weekend. And this is going to be my first book from Declan Finn. And hopefully you guys go check it out as well. Now, let's get into the main story of tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I've found my spirit animal. I did not know that my spirit animal was a raccoon. I was not aware of this up until today. But apparently, ladies and gentlemen, my spirit animal is a raccoon. Now, Royce, or A Drink with Crazy if you're new to the channel, why is your spirit animal a raccoon? I have a beer right here. I tend to like my beer. My channel's centered around talking about fun and exciting things with my community, sometimes losing my cool and ranting at people very angrily, but talking about some crazy things. A raccoon got drunk at a liquor store and passed out in the bathroom. This is incredible. I feel, why? Why did the raccoon get drunk and pass out in the bath? Let's watch. ABC News. I don't want, oh, wait, the audio's muted. Oh, wait, that's going to be really loud. Let's,
Again with a wild night for a raccoon looking for a good time.
A wild night for a raccoon looking for a good time. I like these newscasters. They're just getting into it. Let's go.
Or in Virginia, he made quite a mess, knocking over and breaking several bottles there.
Oh my gosh.
He must have sampled the contents because then an officer found him passed out in the bathroom next to the toilet. He was brought to a shelter to sober up.
Oh my God. Wait, okay. So let's look at the aisle that the raccoon, was this intentional or was this just an accident? I don't know. But we need to see where exactly. Okay. So what's in this image here? Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to dissect this. That's a green bottle. So first of all, the green bottle, I am not familiar with hard alcohols. I usually just drink beer. This is the hard liquor bottle. This is hard liquor, ladies and gentlemen. That raccoon knew what he was doing. He wasn't going for the beer. He wasn't breaking open White Claws as people accuse me of drinking. Screw you people. Although I've been sent super chats to drink White Claw on the show, and I've done that before. It's terrible. This is all hard shit. This raccoon went into this liquor store knowing what he was looking for. He knew it. Green bottle, maybe scotch. Oh my gosh. What kind of alcohol these were. So I can tell you there's Captain Morgan in the screen, these smaller bottles, no clue. There's a yellow bottle up there, no clue what that is at all. We're zooming in. The green bottle could be a scotch for sure. I know that's Captain Morgan. That's absolutely Captain Morgan right there. Look, Franklin was having a rough day. Franklin has a lot of rough days, but bro, does Franklin really need to go into the liquor store? This is insane. And it's one of the yellow bottle looks like mixers. Oh no, Franklin went for mixer. No, they didn't break. But here's the thing. You guys notice this massive puddle? You don't see my cursor. Look up in the screen. You see that massive puddle of booze on the floor? I have a feeling that's where Franklin decided he was going to get absolutely hammered. Because that's a big puddle. I'm going to be honest with you. The fact that Franklin went to the bathroom and was like, I need a toilet. I need it now. And passed out. Franklin knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. Okay? It looks like he started down here, got some stuff over here, probably continued across the shelves, went back over here. He knew what he was doing. He found his whiskey of choice. I disagree. I think he found his cocktail of choice, and his cocktail was whatever the hell is in that puddle in like the top of the screen. I don't think he found his whiskey of choice. I think dude was mixing boozes. I think he went in there with a purpose. This raccoon knew what he was doing. Why? Why did he know what he was doing? I wonder. Because raccoons, we need to send this raccoon to AA. No, they sent him to a shelter, so he's detoxing. The news ladies said that he is absolutely detoxing. So that's good, right? That the raccoon is detoxing. That's a good thing. I think the fact that the raccoon got absolutely hammered and passed out in the bath. What more American can you get? This was an American raccoon. We know this. Because who else gets absolutely hammered and passes out in the bathroom? He promised his wife he'll be better. Oh my gosh! The raccoon has seen too many Bar Rescue episodes. Oh no! Oh no! He probably couldn't find what he was looking for and accidentally struck gold in the puddle. Dude, that's a hell of a puddle. If you strike gold in the puddle, ooh. Nikolai Paul, a long time since I was awake for a stream. Well, you're across the pond, right, Nikolai Paul? I believe you're across the pond, as the Brits would say. I would say you're in the place that the Americans kicked you out to. Oh no. Either that or too many tipsy bartender reels. I just want to know. This is, everybody's like, oh, this story went viral. Yeah, of course it went viral. A trash panda got trashed in a liquor store and passed out in a bathroom. You know he was trying to make it to the bathroom to heave-ho everything out of his system, and he just couldn't make it. Thankfully, he was taken to a shelter, not put down, my God, like the squirrel. What was the squirrel's name, guys? What was the squirrel's name? They went and they got the squirrel. Remember the social media squirrel that, they just decided they were going to go and get rid of? So a drunk-ass raccoon gets, never forget Peanut. Peanut was the squirrel's name. So a drunk-ass raccoon that vandalizes a liquor store gets absolutely hammered and passes out in the bathroom, gets a more humane treatment than a legally owned squirrel that was raising millions of dollars a year for an animal rescue. What country do we live in? We have more respect for a drunk raccoon than we do a sober squirrel who did cute squirrel videos online and raised money for animal shelter. I feel like I could rant on this. Also, I feel like there were two different states, so, I can't really, But it's a funny story to talk about because everybody's like, oh my gosh, the raccoon guy. So first of all, animals who've never had alcohol before. Now, let's just assume the raccoon, Franklin in this case, it's probably Franklin, has never had alcohol before. By the way, Franklin's absolutely had alcohol before. Let's just assume this raccoon never had alcohol before. He gets absolutely hammered. Dude was probably near death. And so we save him. But a squirrel online that's legally owned, that is loved by his owners, gets euthanized because some Karen calls in on him. And now that animal rescue probably lost millions of dollars worth of money a year because the shorts that were being generated from the lovely squirrel are no longer there. What a weird society we have. What a weird government we have in every individual state. That we're going to rescue a drunk raccoon and make sure that they're okay. And that goes viral. But an already viral animal that's generating money to save animals is then euthanized and put down, which, by the way, there was also a raccoon in that story as well. Peanut was in New York. Trash Panda was south of the Mason-Dixon line in Virginia. I'm going to be really honest with you, man. Have you seen what's going on in Virginia lately? There's a whole lot of difference. Virginia's kind of holding on in normalcy thinking, but not so much. I watch a lot of politics every day. It's probably not healthy for me. The difference between Virginia and New York versus the Chad, Virginia state. It was a commie New York government that took the life of Peanut. It was. Franklin was pouring one out for Peanut that night. Pouring one? Bro, I gotta still pull Franklin was pouring out many for Peanut. He was on a bender. This was I need to fix a thing that I can't fix in my life bender. So here's my question. Does Franklin heal after this, or is he going to break into another liquor store? Is he going to be hostile now and now get put down because he probably woke up in the hospital? How many of you have woken up in a hospital? I've never passed out and woken up in a hospital, but I would imagine it would be disorientating, right? I would imagine that waking up in a hospital, I'd be like, where am I? Why are these people looking at me? This nurse looks nothing like the nurse in the anime that I watch. You just did normal things like that, right? I don't know if the Trash Panda watches anime. I don't know. We're going to get into anime lately. I've been watching kind of dumb anime lately. We're going to get into that. Ask me later. Sadly, I live in Virginia and will soon have a commie for a governor. I'll need prayers for my sanity. See, that's what I'm saying. Virginia's not a whole lot different than New York. Maybe the people, but the government, it's all going one way. We know how it goes. One, I feel very sorry for the raccoon in this story because that wasn't just beer that he got into. That looks like he got into, I mean, you can see bottles tipped over. That raccoon got into some of the hardest shit that they had in that liquor store, period. And that is, and again, for an animal to go through that and go from normal gravity to what the fuck is this gravity like that? Because you've all been there. We've all been there. We've all been sitting there having a good time, sipping stuff. In his case, he's licking it off the floor because he's a raccoon. We're just like, yeah, what's going on, everybody? And we do that one, and then all of a sudden the world goes whoosh, and we're like, all of a sudden we're breathing heavy. The world is not worlding normal. And the raccoon is like, I need to die right now. We've all been there. We've all been there. I have slept many a night on the bathroom floor because it's nice and cool, by the way. The tile bathroom floor, nice and cool every time. Actually, until my wife put like this rug in there on the bathroom floor for like slip hazards or whatever. Sometimes I just be in the bed and it's really hot. And I'm like, because I sleep really, really warm. People are out there. If you're like me and you're just like, yeah, it doesn't matter what bed sheet I have over me. I'm still too freaking warm. Laying on a tile floor where it's cool to like regulate your body temperature at night, magical. It's wild. It's insane. Don't know why, but if you're like me, you ain't gotta be drunk to sleep on a tile bathroom floor. The fact that the raccoon was like, I need to go someplace cool to cool down. Thankfully, he got to a shelter. He's okay. That's awesome. I love that. Oh no. Everclear in Virginia only goes to 120 proof. The low octane grade. Guess the moonshiners had to put their foot down. Oh no. I try to avert lifing myself so hard I have to spend the night on the bathroom floor. Dude, I just sleep warm. I sleep warm. It doesn't matter. I'm one of those people that I crawl into bed and my body temperature increases by 5,000 degrees Celsius. It's uncomfortable. I don't know why. I don't know. There's something wrong with me. It's ridiculous. It'd be nice if it do that during the day when I'm walking around doing safety inspections in -5 degree weather, but it doesn't. But interestingly enough, we're looking into this, and I love this story. It's a national story. It's a fun story. Raccoon goes into a liquor store, gets drunk, gets hammered, passes out on the bathroom floor. What more American thing could this raccoon do? I don't know. But I just think it's interesting that we take the raccoon that gets drunk and we take him to a shelter because the people apparently in Virginia are different than the people in New York who wanted to euthanize a perfectly legal squirrel that was raising millions of dollars, or well, maybe not millions. I actually don't know the money on that. But New York wanted to murder a squirrel that was raising money for a nonprofit that was taking care of animals. And now we have people in a different state in the U.S. that are taking care of a drunk-ass raccoon. We do not have one culture in America. And it's interesting to see that we don't have one culture in America. And if you've ever been into multiple states, here's how you can judge the culture of the different states. How many times have you been driving in a different state and you drive the way that you normally drive? And you get into a different state and all of a sudden you're the asshole on the road because you don't think the same way that the people driving on the roads do. For instance, people in Boston. I've never been to Boston. I've talked with a lot of truck drivers that I know who've been through Boston. Boston's psychotic. They're suicidal on the roads. They don't believe in turning your blinker on. I don't even know if they know that speed limits are a thing. But you see this from state to state to state. And so what I would like to conclude this whole drunk raccoon versus, euthanized squirrel story with is that we don't have one culture in the United States. We've never had one culture in the United States. And I would very much rather go back to saying, instead of saying that you're an American, it would be really wonderful for people to go back and saying, I'm a fill in your state here, right? I used to say when I was younger, before it got taken over and before I moved, I was a Coloradan. I was proud to be a Coloradan because I loved Colorado. I loved the state that I lived in. It was awesome when I was a kid. Now look at Colorado. Colorado is mini California. I don't know if I could ever call myself a Coloradan again. So I packed up my family and I moved. And we moved to Iowa. Now, am I still a Coloradan? Well, I'm the type of Coloradan from 25 years ago. But I'm more closely related to the Iowans. And my children are more closely related to Iowans. So I would say we're Iowans first, Americans second. Why? Because America has different cultures. And we have one culture that's going to murder a squirrel that raises tons of money for an animal shelter. And we have another culture just a few miles away. It's not that far of a drive from Virginia to New York. I mean, oh, it's too far drive. Shut up. You don't know what a far drive is. I drive daily for my job. But we've got other cultures that'll be like, oh, we're going to save this drunk-ass raccoon. They could have euthanized the raccoon that got drunk in the liquor store. They didn't. Remember, where you live, the people you live around, your neighbors, you are that first and American second. Didn't realize that I was going to get here with the story, but I did. And I honestly think that that's something very important to talk about. Because I think in this day and age, you guys are gathering here with me because you have a very similar mindset. We wouldn't say, well, I'm an online, I'm in a drink with crazy in first, and then I'm in a... No. You need to identify with the people that you live around and the lifestyle that you have and the things that you do every day and the neighbors that you know. You're that first, you're an American second. And I think we've lost sight of that, especially, and you can see it, every election cycle. People care so much more for the federal election cycle than they do for their local election cycle. Why? Local elections have so much more to do with your day-to-day life than the federal elections will. Obviously, there are some things where federal elections are going to, hurt or help more, But for instance, the price of groceries right now, that tends to be a federal thing. That tends to be a big thing. But also, you could also affect that on the state level. And this is kind of interesting to me. It's why I've said after voting in federal elections for the years that I have, I've decided not to anymore. I don't want to anymore. I want nothing to do with federal elections anymore. And the reason being is because I don't believe that the federal system is there for the American citizens anymore. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, they're both evil. Okay? The Republicans and Democrat are so far left in comparison to what the founders of this country wanted that it's ridiculous. They have centralized the government to a point where it's almost impossible for states to function autonomously. But yeah. If I'm from California, do I just say I'm a commie? That sounds like a joke, but I feel like people would get it. No, I would say, no, if you're from California and you disagree with the politics of California, I would refer to yourself as a Californian POW. I think that's more accurate, right? Unless you agree with and if you're a commie, get the fuck out of my chat. I don't know why you're here right now. That's ridiculous. Why would a commie be in my chat? But if you're a POW of California, I apologize. I feel so bad for you. I drove 600 miles round trip to spend time with my daughters in Virginia while I worked in New York State Department of Corrections teaching inmates metal fabrication every other weekend. Whoa! Did that from 2003 to 2014. Damn, dude. That's a drive. That's an absolute drive. That's like what I drive almost every single. I think I mathed it out from my day job. Every single week I do a collective about 700 to 750 miles every single week. My truck's gaining some miles on her. That's insane, dude. But does that make sense? I don't know why. I didn't realize that the drunk raccoon story was going to lead me here into talking about all of this, but it did. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know why I'm here. I'm here to hang out with you guys. I absolutely am. And by the way, have I mentioned go to Amazon and buy this book? Because I bought this book. I haven't even read this book yet. Don't care. Declan Finns is a wonderful human being. You buy his book. You check it out. Maybe you like it. Maybe you don't. But the fact of the matter is you can at least support a wonderful human being once. And if you say, hey, bought your book, not my thing, Declan Finn's not going to be mad at you. He's got a bunch of different books over on Amazon. That was on top of my 2-hour one-way commute to work, 107 miles. Oh, dude, I've been there. I've done it. I loved when I had jobs in the mountains of Colorado, and it was a 4-hour one-way commute. I was getting home at 10 o'clock at night, and I had to be on the road at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that was fun. Get home at 10 because we'd get off at like 6. Sometimes we would get off sometimes at 7, but that was rare. So I would get home at 11 and I would have to be on the road. I would be on the road to be on site at 7. So I'd be waking up at like 2:30 in the morning. And there was no, they're like, oh, you got to shit shower and shave. There was no shit shower and shave. There was like, wake up, go to the bathroom, just swish some Listerine and leave. Like I have to leave. I've been there. It sucks when you're running days like that. Although I'm gonna be real with you guys, the job that I have paid money at the time, dude. My paychecks were like $2+ grand a week. They were dope. Yeah, they were dope. But that being said, yeah. So I absolutely understand the other thing too is the job that I used to have, Tim Allen, which is Tionda 1969 in the chat. He goes under Tim Allen under my Discord. If you guys aren't a part of the Discord, join the Discord. It's super awesome. The other thing that really sucked back in the day was I did a lot of emergency jobs. Our entire company was on call for emergency work, and so that was in the utility world. So if there was an emergency, they had to have an inspector there. Dude, I remember, I don't know how many times I walked in the door. I'd be like, sweet, cool, I got off a little early today. Awesome. I'm actually going to be home at 5 o'clock. It's just like, a normal day. And I, no bullshit, would walk into the house and my phone would ring and it'd be my boss. And he's like, hey, called a bunch of other guys, but they're not able to do it. Are you able to do it? And I'm just like, yeah, my wife just put dinner on the table. Let me pack it up in a to-go container and let me make some coffee so that I can take some coffee tonight and I'll be on the road. And then I would turn around and I would go on an emergency job. I can't even tell you how many 20+ hour days that I pulled, right? Did that for a lot of years. And you just kind of get used to that. You're just like, sleep. I think it's part of the reason I don't sleep well now is because I'm just used to waking up in the middle of the night. Like, crap, do I have to go on an emergency call? Do I have to, or like, oh, I've been, I remember, I think I did what? I think I did. There was one time out there. This is not the most extreme case, but I remember there was one time I ended up doing 2 extremely long jobs back to back. And I had 40 hours logged 3 hours into Wednesday morning. Like, tell me, boys in the chat, have you been there? Get the boys in the chat. How many of you guys have had 40 hours in a couple hours into Wednesday? Keep in mind, the week starts on Monday. We're on Wednesday morning, not late Wednesday morning, like 9 o'clock Wednesday morning, and you're already at 40 hours. Have a nice day. That paycheck was good, though. That was, but missed a lot of my kids being little, which in retrospect, I will say this as a dad, I would have rather missed the time with my kids being super little than the time that they're in right now. Because right now I can play video games with them. I can teach my son welding. I do catechism with my kids every night. I can do all of that. I would rather have missed the time when they were, and I should have been doing catechism with them young. Yeah, we do that. I've hit 40 hours. I've hit 40 hours on Wednesday morning when was working in rock quarries and welding companies. Yeah, that's how it be, man. That's how it be sometimes. Sometimes you hit 40 hours on Wednesday morning and you still got all of Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. Thankfully, I remember my boss one of those times was like, he just looked at me. My boss showed up to do an inspection on me because he had to make sure I was doing my job. And he just looked at me and he was like, dude, go home. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you need to go home. He's like, you're done. I'm like, no, I can. He's like, yeah, I know you can work. And I know you're going to still do your job. He's like, but at the end of the day, you're going to be so freaking tired. I'm worried you're not going to drive home safe. And I don't want that on my conscience. Go home. I'm going to cover the rest of your jobs for the day. Okay. And I'm just like, thank you. I'm going to go home and I'm going to go to bed now. Like my boss was super. I still talk with him to this day, dude. He's one of my good friends to this day. That guy, yeah. Works 6 days a week. Oh, dude, yeah, 6 and 7 days a week. Crazy. I remember doing that. I absolutely remember doing that. Paychecks were good back then, man. I miss making almost $100,000 a year. That was nice. I don't make that now. I miss making almost $100,000 a year. I started doing that when I was 23, but I had to work my way up to it. Anyway, all right. So for the weebs in the chat, weebs, are you here? Weebs, present yourselves. We got people in the chat. Are you a weeb? And by weeb, do you watch anime? Say yes. If you watch anime, say yes in the chat. I'm going to wait for you, or I'm not going to wait for you. So I have been just on this kick lately where I'm just like craving like fantasy anime, like Tolkien style D&D, whatever. Fantasy anime, magic, magicians, all that stuff. And what I realized when it comes to, does Avatar count? Avatar is not an anime. It's a Western production. It's technically not an. If it's not on Crunchyroll, it's not an anime. Well, actually, I guess there's other places. I'm watching the show Mighty Nine on Prime Video. Oh, goodness. So what I realized is I have been so utterly critical of a lot of authors and independent comic book artists and so on over the years. And yet when I sit down and I watch an anime, my standards are to the floor. To the floor. I have been watching shows so fantasy animes. I watched this one the other day called New Saga. Basically, a dude gets to the end, he fights the demon lord, and all of a sudden there's some time travel-y stuff, and he goes back 4 years, and now he gets to relive his whole thing. Watch that. I'm like, simple plot. It's not the best. Don't care. Royce's boss. Dude, you're being retarded. Go home. Sounds about right. Yeah. You know what he used to say? No, never mind. I'm not going to say what he used to say to me. Fuck you. My wife knows that and she still uses it. No, I'm not going to say that. You tried to trap me, Mario Trujillo. You tried to trap me. You did. Actually, this boss, dude, he and I sat there the first time that I met him. And we were waiting for the crew to get set up, to get stuff done. We were on standby. We bullshitted about Dragon Ball Z for an hour and a half. That's like the inciting conversation. The first time that boss ever met me, he was my inspector. And I'm literally like, hey, what's going on? And I'm talking with him and I'm trying to show him what's going on in the utility trench behind me. And I take a step back. Turns out when you take a step back and there's a trench behind you, there's nothing to step on. Dude, I ended up asshole over elbows in the trench. And I popped back up and he was like, dude, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, please don't write me up. I'm just an idiot. That is how I introduced myself to this guy. I then ended up proving myself, you know, to a lot of inspectors because I knew my shit really well, and I ended up getting a job at the inspection company. But my boss, who's a very good friend of mine to this day, he was at my 10th anniversary with my wife, our 10-year anniversary. He and his boy came over. It was a great time. I still call him to this day. He and I used to go out to lunch all the time once we were inspectors together. We used to go out to lunch. It was great. We used to meet after. We used to meet after work to go to breweries and have beers together. I don't do that with work people. I keep my work people and my personal people separate. There's like 3 people ever I've never done that with. This is the guy. I don't know. If you're a work people, fuck you. I have my personal life. Go fuck yourself. This is one of the exceptions. God has your archangel on overtime, dude. You have no idea. Vampire Hunter D was an interesting anime to watch. Never have worlds collide. Never have worlds collide. But sometimes there are exceptions to the rule. This boss is an exception to the rule. But yeah, we bullshitted about Dragon Ball Z. So anyway, what have I watched lately? I watched New Saga lately. I watched Failure Frame, something about a dude who like becomes the strongest with weak skills or whatever, which I don't know. I think is fun. I watched something about that's not how you that's not how you're supposed to use healing magic was another fantasy one. I watched another one that was like it was about a healer who was like he wasn't a licensed healer and he's living in like the slums or whatever. I watched that one. I watched like The Water Magician. That one was pretty good. I've been watching a bunch of fantasy anime. What I realized, my standards are low, guys. But I like the fantasy element of anime. I like, you've got your magicians, you've got your sword people, you've got all of the other stuff. I love stuff like that. And I'm just binge watching what I feel like is junk food anime, and I love it. And like, it's not good, right? A lot of it's not good, right? They've got really good reviews on Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll viewers are not, they don't trust them. But what's your junk food? Please tell me, because I've been sitting here watching just a bunch of junk food lately. You watch Korra, so low standards. No, not low standards, because I actually watched all of Korra, and I understand what the writers were going for, and I actually understand the overall plot points of it. And again, a lot of people judge Korra based off of the first season and never continued it. I watched the whole thing, and I was like, oh, this is what they were going for. They just had a really shit setup. They flat out, they did. I also tried to watch Dragon Prince, which was from the creators of Avatar on Netflix. I think it was the first 2 seasons that were okay, and then they started getting really, really screwed up. But to be fair, it sometimes leads me to finer foods. Yeah, you're not wrong, Liu. Sometimes you're just like, man, I like this show, and it's like, you watched this show. Would you like to watch this one? You're like, I don't know, that art looks cool as fuck. What was the one that I watched a little while back that I thought was good? Chain Chronicles. I watched the Chain Chronicles as well. That wasn't horrible. Wasn't as good, though. The one that I really wanted to continue, and it's not going to continue, was something about a paladin. A lot of these are isekai, too. And what that tells me is, basically, here's where I am with any isekai. When it comes to isekai anime, here's what I understand. the writers of these mangas or animes or whatever are fundamentally retarded. They don't actually know how to kick their story off, and so they're like, oh, isekai. And that's how they do it. Not a fan. But, again, been watching a lot of just like fantasy trope style anime, and like, that's my jam, dude. I don't know why. And a lot of them are bad. A lot of them are. The Faraway Paladin. That's what it's called. The Faraway Paladin. I think it's got 2 seasons. I wanted it to continue so bad, and I don't know if it's going to continue. The Faraway Paladin, I think, is great. It's actually an isekai, but it's literally like the isekai elements of it are just basically thrown away. They could literally just do without and I think the only reason is to explain. Yeah, the Faraway Paladin, love it, super fun, like it, it's great. But what I'm realizing is like I fucking love animes where the characters are just overpowered. They're just gonna punch this thing, and it's gonna hit so hard, and it's just like, yeah, I'm down. You punch that thing harder than you did last time. And it's so good. That's all I want from it. But I'd be like, I get this book and I read this book and I'd be like, well, you know, Mr. Declan Finn, here's my critique on the way that you wrote this. I have given absolute critiques to authors that I know. And I'm like, you know, you did this here, you did that there, and then I will just consume the most junk food anime. What is wrong with me, ladies and gentlemen? Why do we do this? Do we have a blind spot in entertainment? Right? We're just like, well, I'm absolutely going to judge this entertainment harshly, but I'm just gonna eat this up over here. Oh, but it's ridiculous. Royce arrives at Purgatory. Why is there an angel with a crowbar waiting for me? Royce's angel. Motherfucker, you ain't have any idea how much overtime you owe me. I really hope you're not right. Problem is, I feel you're right. And I'm going to get beat by my guardian angel with a crowbar for like 1,000 years. And I've read the Bible and I know the teachings of the church. Guardian angels, they don't have safe words. And I don't... Can I ask my guardian angel now to have a safe word for when he beats me with the crowbar to be like, hey, this is too much? It's like, do they know safe words? Or is God just like, nah, safe words don't work on them. He's going to beat you with a crowbar. Does God allow safe words? Wait, shit, that's called prayer. Fuck. Yeah, he does. It's called prayer. I am 90% sure the shit that I just said enters on blasphemy, but like, I'm 90% sure God's safe words are prayer. And if you just say prayer, you'll be safe. And God won't send you to hell. Oh, we all need brain rot at times. Yeah, but I feel like I'm watching like way too much brain rot at times. It'll be, honey, I'm getting another goat. The goats are doing well in their new home. We're probably not going to we won't be getting any more goats or any more livestock like that until we can actually have a property of our own. Because we've had to house them on other people's properties. And thankfully it's worked out, but we'd like to have our own. You need prayer right now. Yes, I do. And if you guys would like to pray for me, I would love it. And if you guys also need prayers down below, please comment. Because it's very important. Right? We got to be here for each other. So like legitimately, seriously, if you just say, hey guys, a friend of mine that I know needs a prayer, throw it down in the chat. If you say, hey, I need your prayers. If you guys say, hey, you know, Royce needs a prayer, drop it down in the chat. Let everybody know. because all of us do need prayers. And I think that's really important. So, but I am probably going to make this a short one tonight, as in I'm going to end the live stream. And the reason that I'm going to do this, one, I want to figure out why does the wig look out of place tonight? I grow the wig out during the winter time, and when I wear a hard hat. So for those of you who've had long hair, you know this. You put a hard hat on and you have long hair, you get wings, right? These are called the construction wings for long hair construction workers. So I don't know, the wig looks out of place tonight because it's had a hard hat on a good chunk of the day, and it's just how the wig is. It's also entering its anime hair phase. It's also winter time and -8 degrees when I got in my truck this morning. So I'm gonna keep my natural insulation on. Hero Darky Darks has got to be there for each other. Yeah, pray for each other. I've got a scripture chat in the Discord. If you guys are in the Discord, or just go to the tap room and say, if you guys ever feel like you need it, my Discord is 1,000% open. If you guys say, hey guys, I need some prayers right now, please just send some prayers. Put that in the Discord. And if you guys know somebody in the Discord who says, I need some prayers right now, and you feel like reaching out to them privately through DMs and saying, hey, I know you say you need prayers. If you don't want to tell me why you need prayers, totally fine. But I just wanted to ask, what's going on and can I help you more? That's what my Discord is for. That's what it's always been for. And not just to shout out people's projects. That's what it's there for. I could not be more grateful for the community that's gathered around this small channel and done what you guys do. And on that note, I don't like what Mario Trujillo just said. Royce, I want to try homesteading. Also Royce, I almost got frostbite from smoking meat. No, I did not, but I would. I almost got frostbite from wearing steel-toe boots when I was 19. I don't miss the day of getting into with minus temps. Oh yeah, getting into a vehicle with minus temps, yep. To get them here in South Virginia, but not as often. Yep. Real talk. God bless you and the family. God bless you, Mario Trujillo. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I'm cutting it short because I need to get ready to go do catechism with the kids. So, yeah. I'm going to go. I'm going to teach them about God. I'm going to teach them about the faith. That's what I'm doing. Did you see the latest cooking reels I see? No, I didn't. I meant to. I meant to see them. I got busy. Work's been stupid lately, and I think you sent them, or I think I saw them when I was at work. I saw the notifications, but I did not click on the notifications because work's been just ridiculous the last few days with a couple of things. So yeah. Take care, Liu. Take care. Yes, that includes you, Royce. Wait, stop it! Why am I not included in everybody? Why do you guys always be hi everybody, also hi Roy? Why am I not included in everybody? The definition of everybody is everybody. Why am I not everybody to you people? I try to be cool with you. And as always, until next time. Cheers, everybody. I'm gonna go cry now. I just want to be part of everybody.